Solitude does not ask for permission. It arrives, settles in, and strips you of any distraction. It is a territory without maps, and if you do not know how to inhabit it, it becomes your worst enemy. It is no coincidence that most people fear it. They avoid it because no one wants to be alone with what they carry inside. When everything stops, the only thing left is your own mind. And for many, that is true hell. That is why they seek noise. Every notification, every appointment, every irrelevant conversation is an improvised wall against the void. But the void waits. You cannot fill it with more people. You cannot bury it under relationships. It does not disappear, and that is the mistake. Believing that being alone is a defeat. It is not. Solitude is an opportunity that only the strong know how to seize. Most people run from it, but those who understand its value seek it. Because in solitude, everything of weight in life is forged. Ideas are born there, clarity lives there, freedom begins there. And without it, you will never be anything more than a reflection of what others expect you to be. Schopenhauer was right when he said, "The strong man is the one who can dwell in his own mind without falling apart." And that is the key. If you cannot bear being alone, you cannot bear life. Because life, in essence, is a long dialogue with yourself. People misinterpret it. They think avoiding solitude is a sign of success. The more surrounded you are, the more complete you seem. Lies. Being alone does not mean being empty. It means you are enough for yourself. And that alone puts you in a position of advantage. The one who knows how to inhabit solitude does not depend on the reactions of others. He does not need to please. He does not need approval. And that is the difference between those who control their lives and those who beg for them. Do you know why? Because the one who owns his solitude becomes the master of his time. And time is the true currency of life. There is no greater freedom than not having to wait for anyone. But this is not easy, because facing solitude is facing your own shortcomings. When the noise disappears, you realize that you have nothing inside, and that hurts. But here's the trick. The void is where you begin to build yourself. You cannot move forward without crossing that desert first. That is where character is born. Do you want proof? Think of any great mind in history. Da Vinci, Tesla, Nietzsche, all learned to be alone because they understood something the rest do not see. Solitude does not weaken. It sharpens. When you learn to walk alone, you become someone who does not depend on anyone to move forward, and that makes you dangerous. You are not manipulable. You are not easily influenced. You are immune. But few reach that point. Most break at the first silence. They need noise, conversations, clinging to others so they do not drown in themselves. Do you want to know who you really are? Sit in a room, turn off your phone, and do not speak to anyone for 3 days. What you discover in that silence will be more real than any achievement you have obtained, because solitude does not lie. And if you do not like what you see, it is not the silence's fault. The problem is you. But here is the interesting part. Solitude also heals. Not the version sold in self-help books, but the one that destroys everything unnecessary in you. Sit alone and let the silence break you. Let it tear out the parts of you that serve no purpose. That is the function of solitude, to cleanse you of the unnecessary. And when the process is over, what remains will be authentic. Solitude is a tool, not an enemy. But you have to use it well. Stop seeing it as a curse. It is the greatest privilege you have. While others constantly need to be surrounded to feel complete, you can build yourself from within. And that is true power. Most people think solitude is just an internal battle. They are wrong. Solitude not only builds your mind, it builds how you move in the world. The one who masters solitude masters any environment. Have you noticed that the people who are not afraid to be alone are the ones who command the most respect? It's simple. The one who does not need does not beg. The one who does not beg does not humiliate himself. Others feel it. It is like a predator walking among prey. He does not shout. He does not show off. He is simply there, and his mere presence is unsettling. Do you know why? Because the one who does not need company has something that others want, but do not understand. He has control. Control is born from expecting nothing from anyone. When you expect nothing, you are not disappointed. When you are not disappointed, you are free. Think about it. How many times have you endured situations you did not want just to avoid being alone? How many decisions have you made out of fear of isolation? That fear has cost you relationships, opportunities, and worst of all, it has cost you time. The time spent running from solitude is wasted time, and wasted time never returns. Solitude, however, gives everything back. Because when you become self-sufficient, every second counts. Strong people do not waste time waiting. They do not need company to move. They get up and do it. That is the difference between leaders and followers. When you can be alone, you become someone who chooses, not someone who settles. And at that point, the world loses its power over you. You do not need to fit in. You do not need approval. Your presence is enough. Nietzsche said it clearly. The individual has always had to struggle not to be overwhelmed by the crowd. Do you want to be yourself? Learn to be alone. It is not isolation. It is autonomy. And this is where many fail. They confuse being alone with being empty. But there is no greater emptiness than needing others to feel complete. The one who masters solitude enters any place with his head held high, not because he feels superior, but because he knows he depends on no one. And that independence translates into respect, self-respect, respect from others. Because the one who can lose everything and keep going is the one who goes the farthest. Solitude is not just an internal weapon, it is an armor you wear when you walk among others. The one who masters his solitude carries that armor into every conversation, every decision, every space he enters. Have you noticed how those who seek company the most are the ones who project the most insecurity? Dependency can be sensed, and the world responds to it with disdain. But the one who walks alone and asks for nothing attracts. The one who does not beg for attention receives it, not because he seeks it, but because his absence of need is magnetic. The respect you demand externally begins with how you handle solitude. The man who has conquered his solitude is the only one who never bows. Because the man who masters solitude is the only one who is truly free. Seneca wrote, "The man who has conquered his solitude has conquered his freedom." There is no better advice. There is no better weapon. Learn to walk alone. And when you do, you will discover that you are never truly alone again. In the end, it all comes down to this. You can spend your life running from solitude, seeking refuge in noise, in company, in distractions, or you can face yourself and discover what you're truly made of. Because the truth is, you are never truly alone. You are always with yourself. And if you can make your own company a place worth inhabiting, then nothing in this world will ever be able to break you. Master your solitude, and you will have mastered your life.